I'll quickly talk about how we try to differentiate Cruella's character and the Baroness, which is her nemesis in this story. So Cruella's world is like shabby London 70s, the punk scene. And it's all about makeshift stuff and rehashing stuff and not having any money and all these things. So, and the Baroness is more like super lush, expensive, luxurious, all these things, big palaces, big castles, big rooms. Everything is big, it's monumental, it's very, very high-end. So for me, visually, to differentiate it, I'm not a big fan to differentiate it with colors. So what I wanted to do was shoot all of Cruella's world on 35. So we shot everything digitally. That's for one thing. But for Cruella, we decided to use the Super 35, just Alexa Mini, shot spherical, and everything's handheld or on a Steadicam. So there's movement, but it's a bit more edgy. We're not overdoing it, but it's a bit more lively, it's a bit more organic, and it has a bit more texture to it. For the Baroness, we went the Alexa 65, so it's a big sensor, which we shot open gate. With Cruella, we didn't shoot open gate, we shot Super 35, just to make the difference as big as we could. And we shot everything crane, dolly, or Steadicam following stuff. So, and because 65 gives me that depth of field, or the viewing angle, which is, I can go on a 35mm, which is a very wide lens for a 65, and my everything, all the architecture will stay straight, will be very serene, very sturdy. And I want to give the Baroness a very heavy, sturdy, there's no fun. Everything is just meticulous. Everything is just as it should be. There's no surprise. And so in that sense, that's how we wanted to differentiate the looks of the two. And again, it's not like overly present. I'm not going to say it's like the obvious thing that's happening. But if you look at it again, you will see that that's how these two worlds are disconnected. And to come back to the concert, I think there you really see it, because obviously the lighting, because it starts first with the Baroness fashion show and it evolves into Cruella's fashion show, which is completely the opposite. The Baroness is very like nicely lit and everyone's with chairs around it. And then, so it's a very classic way of how fashion shows used to be done. And then we cut to the Cruella's fashion show, which is all RGB, tungsten based lights, and there's a lot of colors. So I only use the colors that were used back then. There's no purples, there's no electric blues, there's nothing digital or LED like lighting. And so for that setup, everything was shot handheld, obviously, because it's her world. And then for that sequence, because there was so much going on, and it's less about acting but more about energy and a crazy. So we had, I think, 2 more operators that night who were catching bits and pieces, and I was the one who was on the runway doing everything with Emma Stone. And the energy is raw, and we did rehearse all the dance moves up front on the stage, where we tried some camera moves just with an iPhone, just finding angles that we liked. Of course, it's just in a black box. There's nothing else to see, so you have to imagine what it's going to be on stage, because it's all put more high and all these things. So there's the water fountain and there's the discovery and all these things. And then so on that stage with all these par lights, because that wouldn't be enough to really light the scene, I had a big light box with actually LED light, but all programmed, so it would only be solid colors like RGB, more or less. And that box would do the whole runway, which Chuck Finch did, again, an amazing job. And then we had some Wendy lights, backlighting, and all these things. But again, these setups, because I like to give Craig the possibility to shoot 360 and not say, we're only shooting this angle, and if we do the reverse, I have to relight the whole thing. That's not going to fly. So everything is good to just do 360-degree, more or less, and as much as I can do it. Sometimes some angles are not pretty and not good. Craig has a great eye, and he will be kind to me to not use it. But it's something we that's how we did it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, and I didn't notice the change from 35 to 65 between the Baroness and Cruella. Now I'm curious. Did you use 35 throughout the entire storyline for Estella into Cruella as well, or was it just Cruella?
No, we use it also for Estella, because for me it's the same world, and it's the same. It's the same character surrounding her. It's the same interior. So for me, that stayed connected to her, and the Baroness was a very, very different world.
Yeah, what I did notice was the handheld. I've noticed that it was a lot of movement everywhere, even in the Baroness's world, but it was more elegant. She had the more elegant crane moves, not a lot of shake. Everything was just smooth and nice. She had the big wide shots. Cruella certainly had wide shots, so the rules were broken, the whole time. But for the most part, a lot more handheld with Cruella and Estella than with the Baroness. And I thought that was a really interesting choice because it just felt a little grittier. It didn't feel as polished, and that made sense to me.